crazy. Like, why, why are we having this discussion? But you'll know why. I think a lot of you know what's going on. There is was this real crazy situation with a brother who ran a restaurant. What was the restaurant called? True Kitchen and True Kitchen and Kocktails. Is that right? Who basically went off on some patrons because they just, I guess, had a twerk fest in his restaurant, and it kind of set the internet on fire. And everybody was, everybody had an opinion about it. So I figured that we would have our opinion about it. And so for tonight's panel, we happen to have 4 men, but it was not intended that way. Tierra KJ Williams and Chanel Walker, aka Madam President, should be here. And so I'd like to actually hear from ladies. And in fact, what I'm also trying to do is try to see if on this platform, if I can share the link so that if you are, if you have an opinion, you can actually come in as a guest and stuff like that. And so we're just going to have a real fun, respectful Black conversation about this. So first of all, I'd like to introduce John F. Thomas. John F. Thomas, a.k.a. JT Slim Cutter. That's his Instagram and Twitter following and all that stuff. You should follow him for sure. He is he's a lot of things. He works a lot in Hollywood. He's an award-winning actor, director, producer. He's just a great guy, very talented, very smart. And Jeff Lightsey Jr. Jeff Lightsey Jr. is from the Black Boss Channel, theblackbosschannel.com. He does ball sports, and he's the little Stephen A. Smith. That's what I call him. And then there's this. Then there's this motherfucker I never met who just popped in. I'm playing with you, man. That's it says Juan McAllister. Now, Juan responded to a public query on my Instagram. I just said, hey, if you want to come in and you want to talk about it, let me know. And so Juan reached out and said, hey, I'd like to come in. I got something to say. So I said, okay, come on in, brother. Let's hear what you got to say. So welcome, Juan. We're glad to have you here, man.
All right, pleasure to be here.
All right, so let's get started. First of all, let me ask everybody in the chat, if you haven't hit the thumbs up button, please hit the thumbs up button, the share button, the subscribe button, notification bell, everything else. And I would like to ask you guys this basic question. Give me a yes or no in the chat. Did you hear about what went down with the whole twerking situation? I think online they're calling it Twerkgate, and basically, it's become kind of the talk of the internet, where basically there's this whole crazy thing going on in this restaurant where apparently, there was a lot of twerking going on and a lot of people got mad about it. And in fact, I get a little video here, and I'm going to share the screen. So hopefully it'll work when I share the screen, but I'm going to share the screen and show the video of the brother responding. The restaurant owner got really pissed. He got really mad about the whole twerking thing. And it kind of went viral. And I'd be curious to know what you guys think about it. So here it is right here. I'm gonna play it now.
Developing this concept so Black people can have somewhere nice to go to, okay? Somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as
I'm sorry, this is on somebody else's channel, so she's got something to say, but I'm gonna skip past that. I got it off of her channel, but I guess this is her commentary. No disrespect to her, but we want to see what the brother has to say first.
So somewhere where we can feel good about ourselves as Stop the music, please. Somewhere where our people can feel good about ourselves as a culture, okay? Yeah. No, real talk. And so all this twerking and shit, take it to Prime, take it to Pink, don't bring it here because we're a restaurant. And so beyond that, 75% of my customers are ladies. And I want men to show respect for themselves for how they carry themselves here. So how can I tell the men to respect themselves and you guys are twerking on glass here? If you want to do it, get the fuck out my restaurant. Because I did it for our people and I did it for our culture. So don't do it now. Don't do it again. I don't want to hear it. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. I need to provide something for my people. And don't do it again. Thank you.
Okay, so let's start there. First of all, let me ask everybody just with a straw poll. Give me a yes or no if you agree with what the brother said. Yes or no if you thought that what he said was okay. And so I guess I'll start with our new guest, Juan. What'd you think about what was stated in this video?
Honestly, I didn't hear what. Well, I guess I saw Ricky Smiley had made a comment about, I guess, the music that was being played by the DJ, and that was my first thought too. Was that maybe there was some kind of music that was being played that was enticing booties to be shook you know, in the restaurant. And I mean, I don't think honestly his maybe the way he kind of came his tone, I guess his tone was just kind of, to me, seemed like it was just too maybe too blunt, I guess. But I don't know, it just seemed like maybe he got, you know, the whole thing got initiated just by the music that was being played in his establishment. So that was the thing that struck me, because, you know, being, you know, I've had a restaurant, and I've always been conscientious of, you know, the type of music that was played in the background in the restaurant, just to kind of keep things, you always try to, I guess, try to establish some kind of mood or sense of, I guess you try to create a dining experience with, you know, with the type of music that you play. So it seemed like to me the DJ was a little bit out of control. Okay. And I thought maybe, you know, I kind of empathize with what he was saying to some degree, because anytime you have an establishment, you know, restaurant business is not easy. Is not an easy business, man. I've been in the game like 30 some years, and it's not easy business. And you put your, you know, a lot of time in it. This is not, I kind of empathize with him as an owner, because you put a lot of effort and time in there. And then when people come in and just be, you know, disrespecting your place, you know, at some point, you get to the point where you're, you know, it gets boiled over in terms of, you know, this disrespect. And I think it was just a disrespectful thing to do. I mean, I've never seen nothing.
So let me jump in. Let me jump in just so because I want to make sure everybody jumps. Just so you guys know, I if you get to about 60, 90 seconds in your comment, I have to jump in, but no disrespect.
No, go ahead.
And I also want to make sure that we finally got a woman in here, Madam President, to come in. She was actually waiting in the background, and because I'm such a sexist bastard, I didn't see her down at the bottom. So black women, when they say black women are disrespected and ignored, I have to apologize publicly for giving that impression, because I did not see her down at the bottom of the screen, and I said, "Where are you? Where are you at?" And she said, "I'm right there." So anyway, Madam President is your Twitter handle is it Madam what is
one Madam President with a Z. Madam President
with a Z, and aka Chanel Walker. She's super smart, super cool, and super capable. And so, you know, I'm really glad you're here, because I really feel like this is a conversation that requires some balance, right? Like I think the challenge, like, it's easy for us to talk about what our opinion is, but I think it's hard for us to try to understand what somebody else's opinion is. So not to say that her opinion is going to differ from ours. I already know what your opinion is, but actually I'll just go to you now. So Madam President, when you saw this whole thing going down, like what went through your mind?
Well, one of the things that, first of all, I live in Atlanta. Is this in Atlanta or somewhere else?
Dallas.
Dallas. Okay, another Atlanta. Well,
I live in Atlanta too.
Well, my point is that Black people have the tendency to have a really good time in a lot of restaurants in Atlanta and places like Dallas. They play music. I've never been to, like, in Atlanta, you can literally go to the gas station and there'll be like a DJ playing. Like, it's crazy. So I'm always in awe that there's music playing everywhere. So number one, we all know that music, hip hop in general, brings about a certain energy behind it. Everybody knows if you play Juvenile, girl, you look good, won't you back that? Like, somebody will get up and start dancing from the funeral, okay?
Yeah, so, you know what? It happens when they start playing that beat. But it's like, doom, doom. It's like that's a Negro
music.
Like, everybody jumps up.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that was being played to make that happen, but I'm being funny, but I'm being here's where I'm going to get serious. So, you know, say, for instance, if a bunch of rich people was eating at this establishment, right? So I'm talking about maybe $200 a plate. People, and the music was going, and you had people like the mayor of Atlanta, and she decided, this is my song, I'm going to get up and dance. I'm going to twerk. I guarantee you that restaurant owner would not have came out with the same approach. I believe that people have the tendency to treat regular folk very regular, tell them what to do and how to do it. And I also believe that people have the tendency to treat rich folk differently. They let them do what they want, how they want, whenever they want. So I think there's a biasness here, whether the owner is willing to agree with it or not.
Okay, so let me see. So John, let me go to you then. What are your thoughts? What do you think?
I mean, yeah, I agree with I agree with Madam President, but just except for just that one part, because I mean, it's not really just a black thing on that issue where it's like if a person has money, because that's across the board. I mean, I've worked at like the second highest grossing mall in the world out here in LA, and when we talk about just when people having money, and it's a different kind of bias with that, they can do whatever they want. I worked in museums where, in a museum where you're not supposed to bring any kind of drinks and food, but for the donors and investors and stuff like, oh yeah, here's some champagne, please come on in and do whatever you. I don't care if you spill wine on the floor, it's fine, you know. So, but I feel like the way he said his tone, it could have been different. But I mean, at the end of the day, look, it's his restaurant. If he doesn't want people twerking, don't twerk. You know, it's like, I mean, if you go to any other restaurant, that doesn't really happen like that. You know, so I think to a certain degree, we kind of take advantage of each other in a sense, to where we're just like, oh, hey, you know, I mean, you feel comfortable and you just want to do stuff, but there is a lack of respect, I guess, kind of like on both sides. I mean, like I said, he could have said something. He could have said it in a nicer tone, yes. But again, it's his restaurant. He can run it how he wants to run it.
So you're saying that it wasn't what he said. It was the way he said it, basically, right? That's what I'm getting. Like the tone, yelling, you know, almost feeling like and that's a good point, right? I mean, I was thinking about that. You know, I don't know. I've seen restaurant owners stand up for what they want to see happen in their establishment. But the idea of kind of yelling at the customers, and he even mentioned in the video that 75% of his customers are women. And so I think that if you are asking somebody to do something, that's one thing. But if you are yelling at them, that can make people feel some kind of way. Jeff, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, they definitely that's the biggest backlash, is because of the way he said it. I think we also have to put this into in the context, right? It wasn't just the twerking. They were standing on the booths in the restaurant up against a glass wall. Like that wasn't shown in the video you played, boy. So like you got to give that context too. Like we're talking about liability issues. We're talking about injuries or potential lawsuits. Like it's a lot going on. And the way he's kind of trying to market his restaurant is like a fine dining experience for the black culture, right? So you're going to play a certain style of music if you're going to give a fine dining experience for black folks. Like the same thing you hear in a Roof Chris, you're not going to hear. Like black folks don't want to hear that, right? Like so he's playing the black music. So I don't think that gives you an excuse to stand up on the furniture, lean against his glass wall, and then he released the video. We also didn't mention this. He released the video that shows him politely coming up to that table before the yelling incident. We only saw the yelling incident, but he actually released a video saying like, hey, he goes to the table, like letting them know, like, yeah, y'all can't be acting like this, man. Like we gotta act like we got some sense in here, right? So then he released that video, and then finally he just got fed up, and it was like, oh man, hell broke loose, and he just went hard after him. So that is what we also have to take that into consideration, because we just can't just go up there and act fool just because it's black folk business and we want to act, oh my, oh no, we down for the culture or whatever. It's like, nah, man, we got to act like we got some sense at some point.
Well, you know, and I think that is interesting, right? I mean, I think it's kind of like I think a good test a lot of times is to say, you know, if this were not a black establishment, you know, what's to be expected? You know, what are the rights of a restaurant owner? Like what boundaries? Because he made it clear. He was like, I don't want your money. You know, take your money down the street and stuff like that. And actually, I saw this other video. Somebody else sent me this. I love the internet, man, because people send me they just be sending me shit. And so I got this thing in my Instagram. Let me see here. Let me see if I can find it. I hope I hit the right one. Let's see. There we go. And they basically, this was shared by The Real Earthquake, and it says this restaurant is $50 a plate. They allow women to twerk and have fun. So you look at that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
we all going to hell.
So yeah. So what? So Juan, what do you think about that?
Well, I appreciate the additional information from Brother Jeff there. And I kind of, I guess one of my thoughts was that, yeah, in my experience, it seems like us as black folk, I would say some of us, don't know how to conduct themselves. You know, they wouldn't do that in a Ruth Chris. They wouldn't do that at one of Frittata's restaurants. The guy that owns the Houston Rockets, they would never do that there. Any high end place or any establishment, really Chick-fil-A. I don't even think you want to do that at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
Be honest with you, you know. But it always seems like some of our people always seem to test us. We all, you know, always seem to. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I know, Dr. Boy, sometimes you talk about people, you know, we have like almost like mental issues, I guess. I'm not mental issues, but what's the term you use? You say,
yeah, we crazy as fuck.
Yeah. We really have.
Not all of us. Not all of us.
I'm not talking about all of us.
But you're right though. We have a lot.
Like, I was raised,
makes you crazy. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I was raised. You know, my father and mom didn't put up with no shit. You know, honestly, they didn't put up with no shit, and there was a certain way that you had to conduct yourself. And for some reason, it seemed like, I don't know if it's a generational thing. You know, I wouldn't own no business like that. But you know, if that's just the nature of the beast that we're in, I guess. I don't know.
Well, can I say something, Dr. Watkins? One of the things I think that we have to keep in mind is Black folks are always being told how to act, how to be, what to be. And the only reference is white people, white supremacy, how they act. Go and sit down and be quiet because that's what you're supposed to do. We're culture in the DNA of Black folks, music and all that and rhythm, it's in the soul. You see the babies 2 and 3 years old when they hear sound. They got rhythm like they've been here 100 years. My point is, like, I don't want us to have the idea that just because somebody is overly enjoying themselves is that they are indecent. We got too many white folks with suits on that sitting around conducting themselves very well, but, you know, putting bombs on innocent children, arresting innocent Black folks. So I don't want us to have the idea that, you know, you can act right and that just be it. That just mean that you know how to act and that's it. So I feel like one of the things that the owner could have done is he could have put them out. If I'm an owner of a small business, and the reality is, if you do not know how to behave yourself, if this isn't a standard for what I represent or I want in my business, then I'm going to ask you to leave. And I'm not going to give you 4 and 5 times. This isn't a classroom. If I don't need your money, I'm going to give you the refund or I'm going to get you escorted out. But I'm not going to embarrass and ridicule and chastise the entire restaurant so I can get my point across. No, children.
Okay.
You know, so that's my point. If you run the establishment, run it.
I think that's a good point. So what do you think about that? I mean, it almost seems to me like the big objection that a lot of folks have is, you know, what's the point? What's the need for the lecture, right? What's the need for all the extra stuff? Why not just say, you know, I'm sorry, we don't allow that here. If you would like to leave, or we would like for you to go, you know, if you cannot stop doing this. It almost seems like maybe because you were speaking, Madam President, about I was thinking about culture, right? We do like music, right? But remember that even if you're feeling the music, that doesn't necessarily. Twerking is kind of in its own category, right? Twerking is I'm feeling the music and now I'm gonna show you my jiggly ass. Whereas I could feel the music and just be snapping my fingers and bobbing my head, right? So twerking is kind of in a special place. It has a special place in Black history or white history, everybody's history. And then it's also interesting, you know, because you were talking about culture, and it almost felt like culture was part of what drove him to feel the need to give that lecture. Like, because you're Black, I feel compelled to tell you why, as Black people, this bothers me. John, Jeff, anybody want to jump in on that, or what do you think about that in terms of how culture played a part and how this whole thing played out?
Yeah, I think because, you know, it takes me back to what Dr. Claude Anderson has been saying, what you've been saying, in a sense to where, I mean, it's really tough, but I think we all need to have some kind of a code. You know, like there needs to be some kind of a code, because I feel like we as a group of people, we're like all over the place. So, you know, there's on one extreme, like, hey, we should be able to do whatever the hell we want. And yeah, to a degree, yeah, true. But then on the other extreme, just like Madam President was saying, it's like, well, you know, we don't need to model ourselves to white culture. But in this situation, the thing that's weird about, interesting about this is, I mean, something like that, you would only see that with, I guess, like just Black people who are just kind of really ratchet and I just want to twerk my ass on the glass and all this other stuff. That they wouldn't really do this at any other restaurants, and no other race outside of the white people, you know, Indians, Hispanics, they wouldn't really be doing anything like this. Asians, Jewish people, they wouldn't do that. So there has to be some kind of a code where it's just like, hey, let's not, in this restaurant, we can't do that. Now, the other restaurant where, yeah, they throwing the napkins and stuff, shake your ass, have fun. I don't, because they allow you to do that. But in other restaurants, you know, that's not cool. And for him to come over there and say something to them, you know, and just like, you know, Chanel was saying, it was like, yeah, he had options. He could have kicked him out, but he was trying to be nice about it. And, hey, can you just not do that? All right, cool. Then he got to the point where he blew up, and that's what we saw. So my last point is, I feel like we need to stop being, just as a culture, so emotional. We're constantly just emotionally reacting to everything. As soon as somebody critiques even our own people, just let us do it. Just let us do this and let us do this. It's like, no, that's not the case. We can't even get together because we can't hold one another accountable or just try to lift one another up. And all of this because everybody is getting in their feelings. Everybody's getting in their emotions. So start coming and thinking rationally and critically and calmly to the situation. Like, hey, so what should have happened? What could have, instead of being so defensive about everything.
Right. Yeah. Well, by the way, I want to introduce the brother that just came in. This is T. Khalik. T. Khalik is he stands out on my Facebook because he's very passionate about what he believes in. And I'll tell you, I don't even halfway care one way or another if he agrees with me or not. I just love when people stand up for what they believe in. How you doing today, man?
Oh man, I'm doing excellent, brother.
Yeah, glad to have you. Now let me ask you this. So T, let me kick off and get your take on this. So we've been doing a straw poll to try to figure out how people feel about what happened with this whole twerking incident. If the owner did anything wrong at all. If it could have been handled different. I'm going to say this. I'll go ahead and jump ahead and say that I saw your post on Facebook where you pretty much you seem to feel that it's a problem that a black man can't, you know, have standards without getting pushback from people that feel that black people should have no standards. That there's just there's as low as we can go. We just got to go there and stay there. Can you kind of elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, man. I just see this as an attack on the black man's authority, pretty much, and just belittling the black man to relegate him to, you know, just this misogynistic being who just mistreats his women. Because see, if you look at the media, and it's just shameful how the black media, especially, you know, places like The Root, you know, the blue checkmark black celebrities, you know, the black feminists are framing this in a way as if this black man has some type of ill will specifically towards black women. You know, they are calling his actions misogynistic to minimize what he's trying to do. He's trying to run an establishment where he wants black people to be classy. You know, we don't always have to twerk everywhere there's a black, you know, establishment. We don't always have to get on tables, start twerking, or start just doing dumb, you know, stereotypical things that black people do. So to me, this was more of a just attack on this black man and his respect. And just one more thing I like to highlight. I looked into this story, and he's told these women repeatedly. There's even a video of him telling the women to chill. And I'm hearing his multiple tables and was egging them on. So I think from his perspective, he's like, you guys are just going to disrespect me like this, knowing you're not going to do any other institution. So I think that's why he lashed out. But that's what it is in my opinion. It's just black men can't check nobody, and black men can have no standards for the community at all.
Interesting. So, Jeff, I haven't heard from you for a minute, and I'd like to hear from you. And then I also would like to hear from Madam President on that. So T seems to feel that this is kind of an assault on the right of a black man to have any voice or say in how things might happen in the community. And I was thinking about this, right? I was trying to process. I was thinking, what if this had been a black woman's restaurant? And let's say that the brothers stood on the furniture and were, somebody said this actually on Instagram. I can't even take credit for this one. He said, what if a bunch of brothers were crip walking on top of the lady's furniture? And she asked them politely, please don't crip walk on my furniture. And they did it anyway. And then she just went ballistic and went off, right? Like how would people see it different if it was a woman going off on men for being disrespectful? Like, or do you think that it would be the same across genders? What do you think, Jeff?
Well, definitely the like you said, kind of like that blue check mark version of Twitter or whatever, or like a lot of people that push the feminist movement would definitely see it differently because, like you said, a lot of times we've seen like the attack on black men in different perspectives of the world, right? And so this was just another example, simply because when you try to do things like Black Lives Matter tries to get rid of the nuclear family and stuff like that is part of this, right? Like it's delving real deep into it, right? Like I don't want to get too deep into the weeds, but it's part of it. When you attack someone for simply standing up for what they believe in or standing up for their property, their restaurant, and all they ask for you to do is not stand on the furniture, you know what I'm saying, against the glass, like then you sound like you the crazy person, right? Like they're trying to make this man sound like the angry, crazy black restaurant owner, but technically you are crazy if you don't think if somebody was up in your house, leaned up against your windows, don't even make it a restaurant, leaned up against your windows on your couches, twerking or whatever, they could be doing whatever. Then you gonna go off, especially after you've already told them once or twice. Now you say, some folks will be like, oh, he talking to them like kids. Well, no, you're acting like children. Right, like that's what you do with your children because it's like, man, what the hell is going on? Like if I've already told you multiple times, and it's on video, not like the man's lying. It's not like he came out and said it. He shows the video of him telling these group patrons, like, hey, chill out a little bit. Like let's calm down. We're here to eat. People over eating steak and ribs and macaroni and cheese. They want booty in their face shaking while they trying to eat they prime rib or whatever's going on. Like no. And if you fall through this glass, which once again, there's a video of it. If you fall through this glass, you're not going to be, all that twerking is going to be out the window. It's going to be a lawsuit on hand. And so I'm not going for that neither. That's just my thought.
Okay. Chanel, please, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, I think that we aren't enemies. Black men and black women, we're not enemies to one another. So like I think the narrative has to be just we need to start correcting that as much as possible, is that we're not against one another. So if my brother can talk to me and share with me something that I need to correct, I don't feel offended when I need to self-correct. But like Farrakhan has said, it got to be done in a proper way. A woman would lead. A woman will follow a man that's leading in the right way. But I can't follow you if you're leading from Hennessy and you're leading from anger and you're leading from other elements that's just outside of doing it the right way. So I think that I don't want to excuse the behavior of just twerking on people's furniture. But my thing is, if he wants to be accountable as a owner, I would rather him put them out. I would handle it in the manner of, I gave you a warning. It's time for you to leave. As much as possible, so we don't have to go through me cursing out everybody and getting, going to just escalating the situation even higher. I'm going to put them out. They are interrupting my entire business and everybody around. Why would I sacrifice that? to speak from ego. I gotta go out and snap on you because I told you 4 times. That's not how you properly run a business. Now, let me just say something real quick, because let's not act like these women are not supporting a Black business, okay? As ghetto, as ratchet, as anything else that they are there supporting a Black man's business. They are there doing that. So they get credit for that. We have the tendency to always try to diminish, the woman who isn't well put, the woman who twerks. But that woman could have been Sandra Bland. You don't know how she acts when music is on. So we have to realize that we cannot determine and decide when we gonna stand up for one another. We don't have to excuse the behavior. Wrong is wrong if that's what it is. But I just can't like X you out. I can't like not mess with you forever because you want to twerk. Like, no, like sit down. I still rock with you though. Like, sit down. Don't do that.
Well, let me tell you this. By the way, everybody, we got a panel, all Black panel tonight. We're talking about twerking in a restaurant and the whole situation down in Dallas and whether the brother was right or wrong. And I want to make sure I introduce and mention all the panelists. We got Jeff Lightsey Jr. You can just raise your hand when I say your name because I don't know how to make your names pop up on the screen. Jeff Lightsey Jr. right here. We got Madam President from Fly Nubian Queen. We got T. Khalik. Raise your hand, brother, if you don't mind. And we got John F. Thomas. Raise your hand, please. And Juan. What is your last name, Juan?
McAllister. Chef Juan Cooks.
Mr. Juan McAllister. And what was that again? That last point?
Oh, my IG is Chef Juan _Cooks.
Chef Juan. Okay, so you a chef.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Okay, so you understand what like to run a restaurant. I want to ask you about that. And actually, before we move on with that, I want to ask everybody if you could take a second, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell. We're building Black media. And we could really use your help. So if you want to support Black media and the growth, hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. And we'll bring panels like this. And just so you guys know, everybody who's watching, if you ever want to come in and try to be on a panel or something, if you just hit us up, we can definitely invite you in. So we're trying to include as many voices as possible. So here's one thing I want to show you all is I did a poll. You guys know I'm a little bit of a scientist. So I like to see what people are thinking about stuff. And so I asked basically what people thought. Now, these are not normal Black people. These are Black people that follow me. And y'all know regular Black people don't follow me. They're a little bit smarter. They're very pro-Black. They have a certain Black identity that's very, very strong. But here's what they thought about the whole situation. So I just asked them, do you think the restaurant owner was wrong to tell women not to twerk in his establishment? And 91.9%, an overwhelming majority said no. He was right. That that everything he said was okay. 3.4% said he was wrong. 4% said that they're not sure. So and it was 384 people that voted. So it's a good scientific number. It's not a random sample though. It's not random Black people. These are different types of Black people who see the world a certain way. But I do think that it appears that there's a strong segment of the community that just feels like, come on, man, like this is, what is it that says that Black culture is identified? It almost seems to me, and I'd like anybody can jump in on this. Yeah. I wonder if when the world looks at Black people, right, and you ask a random person who's not Black, like, what do you think about African Americans? And tell the truth. Do you think that they're gonna say something good? Like, if they were, I'm talking about if they were really to be honest, like if they knew nobody was watching and they could really say what was on their mind. Right, not give a politically correct answer. What stereotypes, if they had, like, for example, if I talk about Asians, I say, what do you think about Asians? People say, well, they know they're really good at math and they know karate, right? Or what do you think about Jews? Well, the Jewish community, they're really good with money, right? What stereotypes do you think that people have of Black people? Do you think any of those stereotypes are good? Anybody can jump in. What do you think they would say?
Yeah, you know what? I used to have years ago, I used to work with this Indian guy. He came straight out of India. And the thing with me is I can have really politically incorrect conversations with people because that's how I learn and grow. And I don't get offended. And, he told me straight up, like, he was telling me, no offense, but, why do your people drive around with, cars that's worth $2,000 and put, you know, $4,000 rims on it. You know, pretty much just coming out with me with a lot of stereotypical things. And the thing is, what African Americans we have to do is we have to clean up our imagery. And I can't put 100% of blame on Black people. I kind of do put a lot of the blame on the media, because if you look at the media and these Black people who are paid by them defending the women, they only promote Black women who are, you know, ratchet, who are like Lizzo, who are like, you know, Megan Thee Stallion, just the ones who are always flaunting their bodies, the ones who are very loud, the ones who want to get out and twerk everywhere. They want that type of Black woman represented in the Black community. And that does have an impact on the Black family, because a lot of Black men, if we're looking for suitable female mates, we don't want women to behave like that, who always have to be attention seeking, always sexualizing themselves. That does have a devastating impact on the Black family. And then when you create a circuit of women who agree with that behavior, and then you have men who disagree, what happens if Black men and women, they butt heads? And we have to understand that this is artificial, you know, and we're going to say it's coming from white supremacy. This is artificial for white supremacy to pit us on different angles like this, instead of us all coming together and realizing what's right and wrong.
Well, you know, I shared just now was a picture of Cardi B, and it's interesting to your point. They named Cardi B, the Billboard named her the Woman of the Year, and the statement they put on here is, "I like justice, but I also like popping my pussy." And I'm not saying that we can't have, you know, social justice pussy poppers, right? But I think that I don't see a lot of white women who are literally elevated to the position of being one of the most influential white people in America, one of the most influential white women in America, who would say, "I like social justice, but I also like popping my pussy." I just don't see that. I mean, don't get me wrong. You got your Kim Kardashians, right? We know, you know, that Black women ain't the only ones that could get into the pussy popping culture. But I don't think that the white America sees Kim Kardashian in the way Black America sees Cardi B. Like, Cardi B was interviewing Joe Biden, right? But then again, though, Kim Kardashian went to go meet with Donald Trump, but I don't think most white people were cool with that. I think a lot of white people kind of thought that wasn't appropriate, right? But so it makes me wonder, how do we balance between letting people just be who they are and do what they're going to do versus saying, "Come on, man, you know, there's plenty of Black women out here who don't get into that culture, and it seems like those Black women get ignored. Like, nobody wants to talk to the Black woman that isn't popping her pussy, right?" And then when you go out into the world and you ask me, "What do you think about Black women?" And somebody says, "Well, I think they just like to pop their pussies," we get all mad. We're like, "That's racist. How dare you say that?" But it's like, if that's what's being marketed, then that's what people are going to see. You know, that's why what David Banner said, that the reason he stopped rapping was because he went overseas. And he said people think African Americans are a bunch of crazy, ignorant, ratchet, ridiculous people. And he said, "I can't be a part of this no more." So it's almost like they market us like clowns. I'm done talking. I'm not going to say anything else. Does anybody want to jump in?
No, you're definitely like Black people, like you said, are definitely marketed as either, you know, the men are either you're the big scary Black criminal, you know, or you the athlete, or you the rapper. Right, like, and then, like you said, the women have the stereotype of being like ratchet or twerkers or whatever, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, that is the push, the brand is being pushed by white America, by the media, by the mass media. And so it get, like you said, when you ask like about the Black characteristics, like if you ask a random person, even Black folk, like, what do you think about when you think of Black people? Black folk might say like Obama or something. You know what I mean? Like, they might, like the ones who just quick-witted try to think of somebody like their first person is Obama. But we've seen even what Obama says about Black folk. Like, even our own, like, you know, savior or whatever the Black community is out here saying, like, you know, certain slogans are silly, or Black folk is a certain kind of way. And it's almost like, what the hell's going on? So, no, yeah, like the image that is portrayed of Black folks, both men and women, are not in the highest of light, right? Like you said, that if you talk about what an Asian is, they might say they're really smart or good with math. If you ask what you know, whatever, like Black folks and Mexicans too. Mexicans are like they get pushed in a certain direction as well, like
Yeah, they do.
moves or whatever. You know what I'm saying? But black folks is like the ratchet, criminals. They're gonna rob you. They're gonna kill you. They're gonna take your babies or whatever. So that is definitely pushed by what the media portrays of our people, and it's actually quite sad.
Yeah, because
Go ahead. Now I want to ask you, Juan. Now you worked in a restaurant before, and so as someone who has as a chef, I thought it was just real weird to have a restaurant environment where you got to tell people to stop twerking against the glass and stand on the furniture like that. I'm like, what kind of restaurant is this? What's really going on? And I even heard people that were trying to basically say that the music, I guess, somehow created a natural compulsion where they had to twerk. They felt like they just had to twerk. So they were blaming the restaurant owner, like, you should have played twerking music if you didn't want them to twerk, right? Which I thought that was kind of funny. But what did you think about that in terms of just this all happening in a restaurant? Did it make you? I mean, it made me wonder what kind of restaurant is.
No, I mean, in my experience, I guess I just say this: there's a time, as my mom would always say, there's a time and a place for everything, but in my experience, I've always encountered some type of drama where I literally either had to ask somebody to, I wouldn't say all the time, but as a restaurant owner, you want to, I think people just like I said, I think the perception that the fact of a black man, like the restaurant I had that I was actually running here in Atlanta was a franchise I had. So it was a lot of pressure with the perception of me as a black man owning something, I guess, and being, I guess, authoritative at times. People didn't, necessarily, almost like they just don't respect you in a sense. But I mean, there's a lot of incidents. I had to call police on employees. Matter of fact, a couple of times. Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't know if it's just a mentality, because I had a homeboy of mine that was helping me at the business, and we would have these little sidebar conversations, and he would always say, if you were white, they wouldn't be acting like this. Or or certain patrons that came in, if you were white, they wouldn't be doing the things they do, or complaining about the things they complain about. But you work hard. Anybody that has a business works hard, and they always try. You want to have a successful business, and I empathize with the owner to a certain degree. But again, like I said, we're not understanding all the circumstances, but this getting bits and pieces. But if it didn't seem to me like he just blew up all of a sudden. It seemed like he did try to, have a quiet sidebar with this group of ladies and try to, let them know, look, y'all, I don't need y'all acting like this. So, but I mean, you'd be astonished, man, the stuff that goes on at least in a restaurant.
Well, what it seems like. It seems to me like, you mentioned that word respect. You talked about being a black business owner, and some of the stuff you have to put up with because people don't respect black business owners. There are a lot of black people who would disrespect a black business owner, and I know that as a business owner, there's just stuff where I'm just like, man, like wow, like you really think black people can't do anything good? Right. Even my PhD, I sat right next to the white kids, the German kids, the Chinese kids. There are black people that really think my PhD is not real because I'm black. If I was a old white man with a beard, they wouldn't question it at all. But because I'm black, there are black people who are like, well, Negro, where'd you go to school? I got to pull out my dissertation and everything. I mean, you're right, though. So that disrespect is real, but it seems like it goes in both directions, right? Yeah. So on one hand, you got the customers that don't respect the black business owner, and then you got the black business owner who doesn't feel, in some cases, that they need to respect the black customers. Because I also would dare to say that if these were white girls acting a fool, I don't know if he would have spoken the same way. Probably not. I'd be curious to know what y'all think. What do y'all think about that?
Yeah, probably not. But I mean, I've had customers that actually came in that were like gave me high accolades and gave me praise. I'll just say that too as well. Black customers and even white customers that did come to my establishment. But I'll jump off.
What do you think, T? I saw you nodding.
Yeah, man. it's just I just feel like our race kind of puts white people on a higher authority, and maybe because a lot of us, as youngsters, we grow up around black folks and we see them mostly poor, and then we look at white people in the media and also white people around our lives, and they're just living, the best life they can live, and maybe all of us look up to that and want to be like that. So we may have something in our brain instinctively to just give them more respect than we give our own people. And that is such a shame, because to me it's just that disrespect. I was thinking about when the brother was just talking about the disrespect. Like, could you imagine I'm on this panel and I'm taking my shirt off? You're like, Tariq, can you respect my panel and not take a shirt off? Well, I want to show everyone that I work out, so I'm gonna take my shirt off anyway. I mean, you may just go off on me. I mean, that's just total disrespect, man. But yeah, like, I don't know if I would do that on a white. I'm not saying I would do that, but black person in my mindset, they may not do that on the white panel.
That's a real good point. So I think it's like it's almost like there's a civil war between those who will respect you more because you're black, like black people who will respect you more because you're black, and then black people who will respect you less because you're black. Right, because you really have a lot of black white supremacists out here. Like a lot of black folks, they get up next to a white man. They all polite and respectful. And yes, sir, no, sir. I'll pay full price, sir. That's a wonderful car you have there, sir. But they get next to a black person. How'd that Negro get that car? What you got new shoes, Negro? Why you got new? And that self-destruction is insane. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and let everybody on the panel. So I guess we can't talk all night, even though this is a good topic. Everybody, feel free to in 60 seconds give your last word. John Thomas. By the way, I like the way John put his name and his hashtag or his Instagram or following right there where you can follow him. Everybody else, maybe next time when you guys come back, just there's a tip. Put that in there. That way, everybody watching, I hope you guys will support everybody. Everybody in here has an individual thing they're doing. They have a black business. They have a black brand. Let's support each other. Let's just help each other out. So John, go ahead. I'll let you get the last word, man.
I appreciate everybody, their input on here, and going back to like the people saying the black restaurant owner maybe disrespected the black customers. I'm looking at it from a different perspective, because maybe he was trying to give some kind of grace. Maybe that's why he didn't kick them out, because he was just like, look, I'm trying to give you a chance so you can sit here and enjoy. But, this has been a real interesting conversation. Like Jeff was saying, there's a lot of context that we haven't been able to see. We need to have more respect for one another, practice more grace with one another, and just be able to hold one another more accountable. Because just because I'm holding you accountable for something, don't get so emotional, don't get so defensive and just, I should be able to do whatever I want. No, that's not the case, because how can we move forward? And just like we were talking about with how other races see us, I've talked with a lot of people. I've talked to this Asian girl that said we are very emotional. We're always complaining a lot. I've talked to a white guy that he perceives us as, man, why you have all these opportunities, so lazy, and the list just goes on and on and on. I've talked to so many different people on how we're perceived, and a lot of times we reinforce that. That doesn't mean all of us are like that, but we have to be aware of how we're being viewed, and it's implementing a lot. And some of our own people are saying, yes, we are that. So we are feeding ourselves what.
Right, like we're living on the stereotype.
Yeah. So I mean, unless we push ourselves to be better, we will never be better, because we keep allowing ourselves to just do what the hell ever. There's no kind of code of conduct, and every other culture has a set of a code of conduct, and we don't. Just like Dr. Carl Anderson, get his book. He says we need to have a code of conduct. We need to have a code of conduct.
Okay, so code of conduct. I don't want to cut you off. I just want to make sure it's time to get everybody's last word in. So I'll go to you, Chef Juan. What's your final thought?
I agree 100%. Like I said, we need to learn to have some sort of discipline and respect for most of us have respect for any business that we go in, but that extra level of respect for black business. I mean, if the place, the ambiance is nice, the food is good, then let's have some respect. for ourselves, for that business owner, because like I said, the restaurant business is already a tough business, and to not have that code of conduct is something that I think the culture really needs to start addressing. But I guess we all just need to start with our own kids, our own households, and just start there. I mean,
okay. All right. So code of conduct. I'm hearing code of conduct, and I'm hearing respect. Right. So everybody type the word respect in the chat. I think they're respecting each other is I think that's the theme I hope we can all agree on. Whether you think twerking's okay or not, I'm not here to judge. I'm not the twerk police, but it sounds to me like the word respect really matters. And I know that even if I want to do something, like there's things that maybe I might want to do, but if I'm in a restaurant and they say we don't do that here, then I got a choice. I can stay or I can go, right? So T, what's your final thought?
Yeah, to me, man, and this is for black men specifically, man. I just think that we all need to support this brother, because this is really an attack on all black men, and this is not by black women. We got to, I want to make sure I state that when I say support this black man, that we're not thinking it's black women coming at them. No, this is the media, and sadly, like what you mentioned, black people in a white body, coming after this brother. If black men all had this unapologetic authority for righteousness, we would have a different community, not just towards the restaurant business, but what if we take that same, we had a same strong-headed political game? We would probably change our political future. What about how we run our homes, how we run our neighborhoods? And you see the people who want us on the bottom, who don't want us to compete economically, love this division. So they're going to keep promoting black men who are very emotional, who are not intelligent. This brother, you are never going to see him on TV. Like I haven't seen him on TMZ and the Ricky Smiley show. Very intelligent, articulate brother. And it was like, no disrespect to the black women. In my institution, a lot of black women are very respectful. They are very classy, and I love that culture. I want that to stay in my restaurant. Nothing about what he said was misogynistic. But they're going to keep labeling this man misogynistic to put him as example to you other black men who think you have authority. That's what they're trying to destroy, and we cannot allow that.
All right. So, all right, well put. So, the black man's authority. So, I'd be curious to know how we can place that. So, Madam President, what is your final thought?
My final thought is, thank you, Dr. Watkins, for having me. My final thought would be, we are not each other's enemy. Like Brother Tariq said, the media can portray as much division as they want to regarding black men and black women, but we are not each other's enemy. The enemy is always white supremacy. We need to keep that in the forefront of our mind at all times.
Always.
I'm mad if black women, I do believe there is a time and place to twerk. You don't twerk everywhere you go, you want to enjoy yourself, that's fine. But we should respect people's boundaries, no matter where we are. And also, too, code of conduct. It is important for our community, and we need black men to, hold black women accountable. Black women should be holding black women accountable, being black men accountable. In general, if we are community oriented, we are focused, and we are about economic empowerment, then we do not mind correcting. We do not mind correcting our behavior, correcting our mentality to move forward and be progressive. Let's not get distracted on who the real enemy is. It's not the brother who's the restaurant owner. He's intelligent. He has a business. We respect that. It's not the women who overly enjoyed themselves. We don't know if alcohol was involved either, but they need, they can correct themselves, and they can correct themselves. The positive thing is they are supporting a black business. So we don't have to write either of them off. We don't have to write the brother off, and we don't have to write the sisters off. We just continue to build as a community.
Well, I like that a lot. We are not each other's enemy. Give me a yes in the chat if you get that message. If you picked it up loud and clear, type hashtag B1 in the chat. Hashtag B1, meaning we're black first, and we are not each other's enemy. And I thought that was a great point, because it seems like that gender war is constantly pushed up. And that's something actually white supremacy does around the world. if they want to control the country and overthrow a government, what they'll do is they'll find a rebel group that hates the government, and they'll go fund the rebel group, and they'll go fan the flames of dissension, fan the differences, right? But that's actually what people are doing to the United States right now. There are Russian operatives, Chinese operatives, etc., who are basically taking divisions that exist in this country, whether it's racial, gender, or whatever, and they're blowing it up so that the country will spend so much time fighting each other they can't really actually make a unified front. And so that's something that I think we have to think about, because it's happening to the United States. White supremacy has done it all around the world, and they are definitely doing it in the Black community. That divide and conquer is super real, and so everybody has to kind of think about that a little bit. So Jeff, you're the man of the hour. I'd love to hear your final thoughts on it, brother. What say you, Jeff?
So yeah, my final thoughts is the restaurant owner. His name was Kevin Kelley. So one thing I really like about Mr. Kelley was that he didn't apologize for what took place, right? He said he did apologize for the tone. He did apologize for overusing curse words, because sometimes when you use curse words, people can lose the message, right? Like you're trying to have a message, but people can lose it when you throw out, a bunch of curse words or whatever. He said, he probably shouldn't use as many curse words, but he didn't apologize for what he did. And that's one thing that we have a lot of problems with in our Black community, especially from our Black men. When they take a stance on something, they always backtrack. When when they get a backlash from the liberal media, from the liberal Twitter or whatever, people that just feel like you shouldn't be, try to emasculate you, right? So that was one thing Mr. Kelley didn't do. He didn't apologize, and I think a lot of people can take that message from him, that not stand firm on your beliefs, stand firm on what you believe in. If you believe your restaurant shouldn't allow twerking, don't allow the twerking. Don't let people like bully you into apologizing for people twerking in your restaurant or whatever. And I really think that being strong on that front will help a lot of people and help a lot of people in our community. So I really, Mr. Kelley, I applaud you on making sure not to apologize and staying strong on what you believe in. Your mic's on mute, Dr. Blue.
Sorry, guys. I'm muting myself because I don't want y'all to have to hear me making noise in the background. I like what you said. I like the fact that you pointed out that subtle detail. Jeff is really good with details. If you want, you go watch him on the Black Boss channel. He's real good at analytics and stuff like that. And he brings you facts. And I know people don't like facts. People want to have feelings that defy the facts, right? So if you give them more facts that confront their feelings, then their feelings only get that much more elevated because they're pissed off now. Because now the facts don't confirm what they're feeling. So I think that was a good point about Mr. Kelley. And I would just say, in my personal bias, I would support the restaurant because I do think that he did have a good point. If he did in fact approach these customers in a polite way and they drove him over the top, then I just see that as an unfortunate situation that probably could have been handled better. But he did handle that, and he made his point, and he said it real clear. Like, look, I don't want your money. I want you to go. I did this for our culture. I did this for our people. This is where we stand. And I think that makes me really realize that Black people are just never going to be the same. We're never going to all be the same. If you look at white people, for example, you got liberal white people, conservative white people, everything in between. White people are not the same. So Asian people are not the same. Jewish people are not the same. I read a whole book called How the Jews Invented Hollywood, and it explains how, because I want Black people to have our own movie industry, right? And like Black owned, not no Hollywood stuff. I'm talking about really Black owned. And I remember tripping out over how much they fought each other. Like we have this image that they're all unified and perfect. No, they had a lot of the same divides that we have, except some of the divides are actually even worse. So I don't think we have to be too hard on ourselves. But what I would like to do, actually, out of fairness to Mr. Kelley, and by the way, if anybody knows him, tell him he's invited to come in. He can come on the platform and tell his side of the story if he wants to. And I guess even the twerkers can too if they want to. Like, just don't be twerking on my channel. You twerk on my channel, I'm gonna put you out of this. But anyway, let me read what Mr. Kelley wrote because I do think it's important to actually hear it right from his mouth. And I think that would be, instead of me giving the last word, I think Mr. Kelley should have the last word. So that we can really understand where the brother was coming from. Let me see if I can find. Here we go. Here's the article. I'm gonna share my screen here. I hope you guys can see it. So this is their Instagram, by the way. If you feel compelled to support this Black business, feel free. Here, they're True Kitchen Kocktails. I'm sure they got a lot of followers off of this. He says, in response to the numerous comments and postings on social media, I will share a bit of detail associated with our guests twerking, being asked to stop, being addressed, and asked to leave True Kitchen and Cocktails. While I would like to apologize to the patrons who I offended by my poor choice of wording. So he's not apologizing for everything. He's apologizing for his poor choice of wording. He's apologizing to those who were offended by the words. I think this full story and a bit of video may help your understanding of the final straw with guests addressed and asked to leave. When the first incidents occurred, the guests were politely asked to stop and have respect for themselves and other customers. The guests at issue were at 3 tables. As this video shows you, we'll see guests spoken to politely and literally begged to stop standing on our furniture and twerking. There are other videos that show much more of the behavior in the following videos, but we do not want to embarrass the guests sitting at those tables. Later, as another video shows, a customer stood on her seat, placed her hands against the glass windows, and began to twerk. My immediate reaction was this woman could fall through the window and we could be the target of a lawsuit if she is injured. And that's true. If she falls through that window twerking, but she'd be the first one screaming that she's a victim. That's interesting. My second reaction was that enough is enough. After already addressing this behavior twice, these customers no longer deserve the courtesy of kindness, and the courtesy of kindness I expressed in the early encounters, as it was met with disrespect and intentionally ignored. So he almost seems to be saying that, that once he was disrespected, that triggered him. This is why they were told to leave. We hope these additional videos will give you a bit more insight into what led to the guests being admonished, but we understand we cannot please everyone. As usual, 97% of our guests yesterday were fantastic. This is an indictment on the very few who don't respect our restaurant. However, we reserve the right to address guests who we believe fall below the standards of the concept created. True Kitchen and Cocktails is a concept created with many months of planning and much more to ensure it is a concept Dallas will love. To date, our plan has worked well, and we are thankful for our guests. I like the statement. I think that it was well spoken. Also, what I'll say is this, and anybody can respond to what I say on this. I think his business is going to explode because of this. I really do. I think if you talk about just the basics, this is the business side of me coming out. The basics of brand building is you can't be everything to everybody all the time. If you try to be everything to everybody all the time, then you'll be nothing to anybody ever, right? So he's drawing a line in the sand. He's saying, if you are one of our people, come to our restaurant, right? Everybody's talking about them, right? So if you're one of our people, come to our restaurant. If you're not one of our people, then stay away, and that's okay. So you give up a couple $, so you give up $2 so you can make 10.
100.
I think he's gonna win from this. What do y'all think?
No doubt.
I agree.
Yeah. I live right next to downtown Dallas, and me and my lady, we are trying to get reservations, but it's always busy. So this brother's booming. So even if we're gonna have the DoorDash, like, we really want to support this brother now. And there are a lot of Black people saying the same thing, because the Black people, the Black men and women who are intelligent, who can see through this, they're never gonna get interviewed on TV to explain why they support this brother. Just only the angry Black folks. So he has a lot of grassroots support. You just don't see it because the media is not portraying it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it looks like a lot of people are saying that he is blowing up already. And so sometimes when you run into a controversy, I think this is just a good business lesson, because we do want to see everybody in who has businesses, I want to see you do well. And I would just tell you, as a person myself who's in the middle of controversy sometimes, or I have somebody on the internet screaming and hollering on voices of passion, blah, blah, blah. At that point, it's like you stand on your principle. You let people know, look, this is who the fuck I am. If you like it, then stay. If you don't like it, then please go. Right. And what I find is that people who dig what you're doing, they respect you for being clear about who you are. I think people will, especially for men, but I think it's true for women as well. I don't think people like people that are flimsy and flippy floppy, trying to please everybody. Like, for example, when Snoop Dogg goes out and makes that crazy statement about Gayle King, calling her a dog head bitch and all that, which I didn't agree with that. I thought that was too harsh. Snoop comes back and apologizes 3 times. People hated that. They're like, come on, man. Like, either you is or you ain't. Either you are or not. What are you? And I think that creates brand identity. So I think True Kitchen Cocktails. Sure, the controversy comes with a challenge, but I think that they're going to make more money than ever. And if you go to Dallas and you support the restaurant, I bet you won't even be able to get a reservation.
Quick point, I just want to make the other boys that the prime example, like Chick-fil-A and that controversy they had, and droves of people went and supported them, and they made billions of dollars off. I can't remember exactly what
they don't support gay people.
Right.
They don't support.
And so many people came and supported them.
They don't support gay marriage, right?
Yeah, gay marriage.
There's one man and one woman. But if you go to Chick-fil-A, I remember being in Chick-fil-A a couple of times, and I think they went out of their way to hire people from diverse communities to make the point, like, look, we don't hate nobody, we just believe what we believe, right? And now, whether you agree with that or not, you are right though, because I remember right after that, Fox News had Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day, and they had lines going out the door and down the block and up the street, and also just using Chick-fil-A as an example, and there's many other examples out there. The main thing I think that also helps them as a business is that they're just efficient. Their food is good. They serve you well. And a lot of people are like, look, I don't really care about your politics. Just give me some good chicken and I'm out, right? But is that right or wrong? Nobody can say. But if you talk about business in general, I think that the cultural climate we're in right now is one that's almost built like warfare. Like people, no matter what you do or what you say, and T's nodding because T gets the shit every day on Facebook. I see it. No matter what you do or what you say, somebody's gonna get pissed off. Somebody's gonna hate you for it. So the worst thing to do in business, in my opinion, is to go out here trying to get everybody to like you. It ain't gonna happen. Look at Barack Obama. Look at how many darts get thrown at him when he does an interview. And sometimes I'm throwing the darts, right? Right. But to his credit, Obama's gonna make $80 million this year or whatever he makes, and he ain't thinking about what I got to say. His slogan in 2012 was "Forward," and you know what? There's a part of me that says that's right. You keep moving forward. That's the right strategy. So anyway, guys, it was great. I want to say thank you to the panelists, Jeff Licey Jr., Chef Juan. Give me a last name, Juan, again, brother. I'm sorry.
McAllister. That's a slave thing, man.
Juan McAllister, and Juan, I want you to connect with me on Facebook, man. I want to invite you back. And
absolutely, man. Again, it was a pleasure being here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you, man. And T. Khalik and Madam President and Jeff Licey Jr. and all these individuals do regular stuff online all the time. And you can rewind the video and get all their social media, support them, follow them. Support Black. Also, make sure you subscribe to the Black Boss channel if you haven't done that yet. The Black Boss channel is a place where the voices of Black men get heard. Women come in periodically, like Madam President and others, but we created the Black Boss channel because we believe that the voice of the Black man should be respected and elevated. Just like a Fly Nubian Queen, we believe the voice of the Black woman should be respected and elevated. So there's times where women are talking and men need to shut up and listen. And that's when, we got Miss Vicky and Jade and others talking. We need to shut up and listen so we can understand our women better. And then also the times where men are talking. And when men are talking, y'all got to shut up and listen because you got to learn to understand your men so that you can build a better community. So I hope that's okay for me to say that. Maybe it's not, but if it is, then fuck you. And I wish everybody the best. I love you. And thank you guys for hanging out. Hit the thumbs up button, share, subscribe button on your way out. And I'll see you guys soon. So my panelists, just stick around for a second, guys. I just want to say goodbye to everybody individual as well. All right. Take care.